For $448 US and 165 square centimeters of desk space, this little stack here could launch your audiophile journey. That's the price and size of some portable setups. And trust me, this is performing at a much higher level than those, but we'll get to that. What I have here specifically is the $229 US topping D50 Mark III DAC and the $199 US topping A50 Mark III headphone amp. The specs on these are off the charts as you'd expect from topping, but that also doesn't always translate to great sound, as you might already know. In fact, I'm so disillusioned by specs and stats that I'm not even going to discuss them here. I've got links in the description for all that information if you want it. And that's because I want to talk about the two things that really matter here. The first thing is that this teeny tiny DAC now offers onboard equalization. You can create your preferred settings using a 10-band parametric equalizer app on your desktop computer and then just dump them into the D50 Mark III for selection via the remote control. So I think that's super cool for EQ users that want a compact, high-quality solution. And then the other thing we of course need to talk about is sound quality. And this is where things get a little bit more complicated. You see, the D50 A50 stack produces fantastic resolution and clarity. The dual ES9039Q2M chips in the D50 Mark III extract buckets and buckets of detail and resolution from the music, which is then delivered with crispness and clarity through the A50 Mark III headphone stage and its nested feedback design. So that's going to squash any kind of distortion, even at the tiniest level. And there is no denying the resolution and clarity of what I'm going to call the 50 stack here when you hear it with a nice pair of headphones. And you can run it with everything from sensitive IEMs all the way through to high impedance headphones because there's 3 gain modes on the A50 Mark III, and that's really cool. I happen to go massively into overkill and did the majority of my testing with the 50 stack using the Audeze LCD5 headphones, and as you might expect, that was a blisteringly technical combination. Resolution, clarity, and detail off the charts. But that's also the problem. With all that resolution and clarity, the D50 and A50 stack could be accused of lacking some soul. There's nothing bad about the sound, it's fantastic at a technical level, but it just doesn't have the sense of warmth or smoothness or soul that I do enjoy. It's trapped somewhere in a colourless void between clinical harshness and lush romanticism. It doesn't go anywhere near either, and by doing so, it offers something incredibly bland. Some of you will be wanting to switch off this video right now, others of you will be rejoicing. And that's the beauty of this hobby. For some of you, a completely uncoloured listening experience is your idea of audio heaven. Well, welcome to heaven. For others, the apparent lack of soul from the 50 stack will have you looking elsewhere for your next sonic dopamine hit. What I can tell you though, is that the topping D50 and A50 Mark III definitely earns its right to exist. As we start talking now a bit more about sound quality, it is worth mentioning that the 4.4mm output from the A50 Mark III does deliver a higher volume than the 6.3mm output. However, the quality is completely identical across both as best as I can tell. It's unclear from the marketing if the A50 is actually running a fully balanced design or if the 4.4mm is some kind of convenience connection, but the key thing is that the sound quality is equally as good from both, and that's all that really matters. I've already said that the sound is crisp and clean, but there's also very good left to right separation. As is often the case with DACs and amps like these, there's not a great deal, if any, sense of layering and depth in the soundstage, and that's across many different tracks, not just Tuesday's Dead. You just don't really get any sense that the musicians are in any way staggered out. They're all lined up across the front of the stage. The stack also delivers a very intimate sound overall, so everything's quite close to you. Vocals, instruments, everything's either at forehead level or maybe even inside your head, depending on the headphones or the earphones you're using. Sticking with the D50 Mark III as the DAC and swapping the amp to the Geshelli Labs Archel 2.5 XL, and that delivers a clearly smoother sound than the A50. Some will hear that as it having less resolution, but it's a richer sound that I definitely enjoy across a wide range of tracks. And then skipping back to Tuesday's Dead, the Archel 2.5 XL does sound richer and it just brings more soul to that track. There might also be just a tiny bit more space between the listener and the musicians, but I don't think it's enough to use as a point of separation between the Geshelli amp and the topping amp here. It's also worth keeping in mind that that could be limited a little bit by the fact that both are running from the D50 Mark III, so if that's the limiting factor, it doesn't matter what amp you put in the chain. Swapping to the similarly priced but completely portable and absolutely wonderful EarMen Angel, showed that the topping stack is definitely delivering a lot more detail and resolution. It was actually a little bit distracting for me using the LCD5s with this stack because there was just so much information there. And I think the emphasis also goes towards that detail, which adds to that effect. And so I definitely can't deny that the topping stack was superior in that regard, but it didn't necessarily make it more enjoyable. Not to me anyway. And for that reason, I would say that for some people, the D50 and A50 stack could be a little bit too crispy. Depending on your earphones, your headphones, the general preferences and the music you listen to, it could be too much of a good thing. It wasn't a setup that I really found myself enjoying or wanting to continue listening to, even though it does nothing wrong and performs very well. I mean, from a technical point of view, it's probably doing everything right. And that's where it all comes down to what you're after. I think in short, the topping D50 Mark III and A50 Mark III is a really commendable stack. It's a brilliant starting point for somebody just getting into the hobby. It's a fantastic option for those looking for a technically capable and compact and relatively powerful setup for maybe a small desktop system. Or for those of you that love a highly technical and resolving sound. In all of those situations, it's incredibly well priced and performs incredibly well as well. However, those looking for sonic pleasures may want to look elsewhere, or at least buy this stack with the expectation of utilizing its onboard EQ to lush it up a little bit. And so if that all sounds good to you, I'll put links in the description down below where you can go and pick these up for yourself. And of course you can buy the DAC or the amp on its own. You don't have to buy it as a stack. It just works really well because of the size and the look of it. As always, I want to finish up with a huge thanks to channel members, to channel Patreon members, and to those of you that leave super thanks on videos like this one. And if you want something that offers similar types of performance and sound quality to the topping stack, but maybe with a little bit more soul and definitely a lot more portability, then I've linked my review of the EarMen Angel up here for you next. I think you'll be shocked at its range of features and functions and its performance despite its price and its size. For now though, happy listening, be kind to each other, and I'll see you here next time on Passion for Sound.